Good afternoon, all of you, and thank you for having me here. My topic for today is Short is Beautiful, just 20 words to a better you. It is said that life is short, and I'm sure you will agree. Let's see what else is short in today's world. Short attention spans. I go to many colleges, universities, I speak to young students like the one sitting here, and when I try to address them, I usually find that their attention spans do not go beyond 10 to 15 minutes. How many of you are short of time in today's world? Raise your hands. How many feel I don't have enough time to do the things I want to do? A fair number of hands have gone up. So that's one thing we are all short of. Also, if you read the newspapers almost every day, you have news of road rage, you have people killing each other. So we have today short fuses. We get angry very quickly, short tempers. We also have short breaths thanks to the sedentary lifestyles that we have managed to acquire. Short vacations. I think the time has gone where you could go off for about 2 weeks with your family and enjoy a nice, relaxed vacation. So can short be beautiful? Is it possible? All the things I said are all negative. See if we can look at some things that could be beautiful. What if short applies to commercial breaks? I'm sure we would love commercial breaks that are short and don't go on and on for 7, 8 minutes or 10 minutes. Power naps. If I could get time for short power naps, that would be great. Great example would be TED Talks. They are short. There's a reason. There's a reason why these talks do not go on and on. They are not like sermons. They are contained within 18 minutes or less. So that would be beautiful, right? Then I thought, what about advice? Who wants long sermon on what to do in life? What if advice could be short? So that gave me the idea of coming up with just 20 words, no more, of advice that might help people at your stage in life. These are words that have been put together, and let's see if these can make life, which is short, also beautiful. These are all the advice that I have given here in these 20 words are gleaned from my own experiences. Of course, those experiences have come from teachers, parents, my daughters, all the people that have influenced my life, my wife. So there is no one source for what I'm going to say. It's really a combination of many things. And I'm going to support them by some meaningful quotations. There's one thing about quotations that I have loved ever since I started collecting them as a 14-year-old boy. They themselves are a great example of how short can be beautiful, because ultimately every quotation is distilled wisdom. It brings things together in a very compact, precise, concise way, and we get the message almost immediately. So let's get started. The first 2 words of advice: walk lightly. Now you don't have to take this literally. If you are a heavy man, you are not likely to walk lightly in the physical sense. But what I mean here is, if you can go through life with fewer burdens, and what could those burdens be? Here is a quotation by Peace Pilgrim. She was a lady in the US who almost gave up her entire life to walking. And can there be anything simpler than walking through life? And she said, unnecessary possessions are unnecessary burdens. You will agree. We all have so many possessions in our life that we barely use. They just lie there. They are unnecessary. Unnecessary possessions are unnecessary burdens. If you have them, you have to take care of them. There is great freedom in simplicity of living. It is those who have enough but not too much who are the happiest. If you are pursuing happiness, success is of course one thing that you must pursue, but if you are pursuing happiness, it is said that if you have enough but not too much, you will be a happy man or a woman. Walk lightly means make sure you are not burdened by things material. Many things are material today. We acquire shirts and then they lie and we have to take care of them, we have to get them dry cleaned. Sometimes we need maybe 10 shirts to get around, our social calendar, but we have 25, we have 35. Houses, cars, non-material baggage. Non-material baggage can come in terms of relationships. It can come in terms of ego. Sometimes we carry huge egos, and they can really make our walk burdensome. Spiritual baggage. Sometimes we think we know everything, and we know about God, we know religion, and we are constantly trying to prove to the others how much more spiritual we are than them. So these are the kinds of burdens that can take us into a space where we are not able to walk lightly. First two words, consumed. Next two words of advice, talk nicely. Usually there is a tendency to talk nicely to superiors, teachers, bosses, people in power. But if you really are a true human being, you will make sure that you talk nicely to the servant, you talk nicely to the guard, anybody who is around to serve you or to have any transaction with you. And if you are in sales and marketing, make sure you talk nicely to the receptionist of the company you go to sell anything. So talking nicely is not just for business ease, it is for having a good social interaction with anybody you come in touch with. Please, sorry, and thank you. They say these are three friends we have forgotten. These are social lubricants that make relationships survive the test of time. And this quotation by Sir Isaac Newton, no one else than Isaac Newton, a mathematician and a physicist, who said, tact is the knack of making a point without making an enemy. And usually engineers and scientists have this habit of relying only on data and facts. And they say nice words really don't mean anything. But if Newton could think of this quotation and come up with it, then certainly we must respect the fact that talking nicely and having tactfulness in whatever we do is something to aspire to. I've gone with 4 words. The next, 5th and 6th word, travel widely. And the quotation that goes with it is from a gentleman called Oliver Herford, not very famous, but he was a writer, artist, and illustrator. And he said, a rolling stone gathers no moss, but it gains a certain polish. When you travel widely, you come across different cultures. You come across various people, food, cuisine. You come across ways and customs that make you a well-rounded person. You acquire polish. You acquire sophistication. You acquire the knowledge of other cultures. You become more tolerant. Education does not include enough travel. Usually we sit in classrooms and we are expected to educate ourselves without going outside those boundaries. So my advice to all youngsters would be travel widely, use every opportunity you get to go out there and experience the world in the real terms. It is the most cost-effective way I have known on broadening narrow minds. So if you really are a good traveler, you will make sure that you understand and you are in the shoes of the other person, and you will have a broader mindset. Read wisely. I'm on to my 4th piece of advice, again sticking to 2 words per sentence. Reading is something that the modern generation seems to have not taken a great liking to. But my experience says that if you really read wisely, and by that I mean you don't stick to just one genre of books, or when I say read, I also mean view or see, because today in the internet world, it's not only about reading, it's about experiencing. And the quotation that I want to support my argument with is by a gentleman called Ralph Sockman. He said, the larger the island of knowledge, the longer the shoreline of wonder. And I'm going to explain this through a visual. On this slide, you will see 2 blue islands of knowledge. One is small, right here, and the other is a bigger island of knowledge. This one has a shoreline that goes around it of wonder, which is about this size. And when I come to this one, the shoreline of wonder has gone up significantly because this island of knowledge is more. Just to give an example, if you do not know about anything beyond the solar system, it is unlikely that you will wonder about the nature of the universe, about stars that are millions or billions of light years away from us. So ultimately, your island of knowledge will remain fairly small. It is only when you grow your island of knowledge that your shoreline of wonder goes up. When your shoreline of wonder goes up, you start thinking much more. You start groping around, you start exploring. So I think reading wisely is something you must look at doing almost on a regular basis. So this actually leads us to this nice corollary. The more you know, the more you want to know. I have seen people, and I have really great regards for them. Though they know a lot, they don't want to stop. They want to continue. And there are people who know a little, but they want to stop at that. So it's a, you could say, a conundrum, but the more you know, the more you want to know. And you want to be in that space rather than in the space where you don't know much and you don't want to explore beyond that. Let's move on. This is one advice which I don't follow myself. It is exercise regularly. We are leading very sedentary lifestyles. We are living in a digital world. We really need to be physically fit because there are cases of youngsters in the age of 35, 40 succumbing to lifestyle diseases. So exercising regularly is something very pithy advice, and those of you who play sports, I'm sure, will identify with this particular quotation by a gentleman called Al Oiter. And he said, "To exercise at or near capacity is the best way I know of reaching a true introspective state." Imagine a physical fitness man is talking about reaching a true introspective state, which is obviously a mental thing. If you do it right, it can open all kinds of inner doors. So now, if you are really exercising regularly, it is quite likely that you will elevate your mental thinking to a plane where it will be complementary. You will not only enjoy the fruits of physical exercise, but also you will do much better in terms of mental abilities. Advice number 6, 2 words: listen attentively, which you are doing, but it's often that we don't follow this. Listening is something that doesn't come easy. In today's world, again, we are distracted by so many things that it is difficult to pay attention to one individual who is speaking. Ernest Hemingway, a very famous author, said this: "I like to listen. I have learned a great deal from listening carefully. Most people never listen." So if a man as accomplished as him could talk about the importance of listening well, there is a certain amount of humility required to listen well. Often we are not able to listen because we are full of ourselves. So I'll just go on to this one experience that I have had over a period of years. It is strange, but it is true. Better listening by one produces better speaking in the other. Try this with your brother, sister, parents. If you are able to listen to them with eye contact, with complete attention, you will suddenly find that their energy in speaking has gone up, their confidence has gone up. They are communicating better because you are listening better. On to the 7th piece of advice: laugh heartily. I think this was made out in some other speeches today also, the value of laughter. It is said that laughter is the best medicine, and there is a good reason for that. There is enough scientific research to show that if you laugh a lot, you are likely to remain healthy for a very long time, healthy and happy. And the quotation I'm going to use here is by Gautam Buddha, who needs no introduction. He said, "Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared." Very profound, very true. So I'm going to do a small experiment here. It's called the laughter challenge. Okay? I'll need your full cooperation here. You will look at your neighbor, whoever is sitting next to you. You will imagine him or her to be a quirky clown. Okay? Then you are going to point a finger at that person and you are going to laugh out loud as hard as you can. Okay? When I say go, you will go and do this. After some time, when I say stop, you will stop laughing. Okay? Are you ready? Which side? You choose your side. Okay. On your marks, get set, go. Okay, stop. 1, 2, 3. Don't laugh again. Stop. 4, 5. Okay, nobody laughed. So it wasn't uncontrollable. I asked you to laugh uncontrollably. I was able to control you. That's bad. Laugh heartily. Laugh uncontrollably. Please try to do it because it releases all kinds of positive energy in you. I was trying to use that in my experiment, but I think I was good at controlling you. I thought in the 15 seconds that I gave you to be quiet, some of you would have not been able to control your laughter, and there would have been a ripple effect again to prove the point that laughter is contagious. And it's the best kind of epidemic you can ever carry. Moving on. Give generously. 2 words again. This is something I learned from my dad. My dad, though not a very rich man, in fact, he was from the lower middle class, he always gave. And by giving, it doesn't mean only money. Of course, he gave money. But he gave time, he gave skills, he taught. He never ever expected anything in return. And that's where the generously part comes. Samuel Johnson said, kindness is in our power even when fondness is not. When we are fond of somebody, it's so easy to be kind. It is so easy to be generous to somebody we are fond of. But can you be kind to somebody you are not fond of? Somebody you have just met? It is said that when you make 2 people happy, one of them is apt to be you. This is a Hindi proverb which I'm going to translate in English. Neki kar darya mein dal. When I heard it in my school days as any saying, I just could not make head or tail of it. It took me about maybe 10 years or 15 years of living life when I realized what it meant. Once you have given, once you have done a good deed, don't remember it. Just dump it in the lake. You've done a good job. If you carry the feeling that you've done a good job, then you are really not benefiting to the extent you could. It's tough, but if you start practicing it, after a while you will not even think that you've really done something. Sometimes people will come and say, you did this for me. And you say, really? I don't remember. And it becomes so natural. It becomes part of you. Moving on, sleep soundly. Again, some of you probably say, yeah, I am doing that. Always. But you know what? It's not about the length of sleep. The quotation here is also a very deep one. It is not ascribable to anybody. It's a French proverb. It says there is no pillow as soft as a clear conscience. And if you really go to bed with a clear conscience, you are likely to have a very deep sleep. When you have a deep sleep, you don't need too many hours. And that's what I'm going to prove in the next visual here. The sleep quality rectangle. Sleep quality is measured not by the length of the sleep, but also by the depth of the sleep. So there are 2 rectangles here. This length of sleep is L1. This depth of sleep is D1. There's a certain area. This area represents the quality of sleep that you've got. If you have depth of sleep D2, which is much smaller than depth of sleep D1, your length of sleep will have to be more. And this is why some people who sleep for 10 hours still wake up not feeling fully fresh. And they say, wish I could have had 1 more hour of sleep. I am now down to my last 2 words, 19 and 20. Think differently. This is something that Steve Jobs did very well. This is what some entrepreneurs do very well. Winners think differently. They are not always following the crowd. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, he was a famous American jurist, and he said, man's mind stressed by a new idea never goes back to its original dimensions. Great words, think about it. If you're always thinking differently, you are pushing your mind in new directions. If that expands across all those dimensions, it'll never go back to its original dimensions. I'm done. I'm going to just do a quick recap here. Walk lightly, talk nicely, travel widely, read wisely, exercise regularly, listen attentively, laugh heartily, give generously, sleep soundly, think differently. So life, as they say, is short. Short, I think I have proven, is beautiful. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, life is beautiful. Live it, love it, learn through it, and laugh with it. Thank you so much.